What up? What up? What up? It's another episode of the Shark Cove. I'm your host Emrick, and with me, as always, recently at least, I've got Mr. Moose. The Moose is loose. What's going on? Moose is loose.
Hello, friends. Well, we gave you guys a lot of awful takes yesterday, so I don't think it can get any worse today.
Well, that's not true. So I will say that something that you said yesterday when you talked about some of these lower kill games made game stacks better was in fact taken to heart. And the guy that shipped M. Bebbleman, or however you say his name, even said it that he heard you talking about that in the Cove, and it just kind of reinforced what he was going to do. So there is that token there, and maybe you and I didn't do well, but there were quite a few people associated with the Cove that did very well yesterday.
It
You've
was
got
good, yeah. Kevin.
Elliot Carney did take down like one of the bounty hunters, I think. Nate had a good day. Cody had a good day.
Kev took
This
down the 333.
There was a guy from the Discord named Lee. He had a good day. It looked like, and then there's another guy in it to make it. I don't know his first name. I know everybody else's first name. I don't know his. But yeah, so a lot of people had I think it was kind of like some people were just missing out, man. Like they weren't playing the dogs the last couple of days. They went ahead and they played the dogs, despite us saying not. I mean, I guess for me, it felt like that I put my hand in the cookie jar just one too many times, and I was pulling out cookies, and I felt like I was going to get caught. I felt like I was going to get caught, and then I had to go back and retreat to safety. And so I did play a little bit of KDF, a little bit of HLE, but I had no IG, and if you didn't have IG, you didn't cash in GPPs. So all my BLG had doggo. So after that first game, I was just completely drawing dead. It would have been a bad day if it wasn't for winner take alls.
Yeah,
So
I just watched the game, and it left me speechless because it felt like IG was like Goku or something. Like they just kept powering up and powering up, but it was really just BLG full tilting, out of position, mistakes, fights they don't need to take. It was like how we always say like this team wanted to lose really badly and then they lost. And
mm,
the yesterday was definitely that confirmation. Like BLG did everything they could to lose those 3 games. And I don't I don't know what to take from that. Because I don't get me wrong, like I think that the IG kids are talented, but you avoid that entire situation if you just don't give them kills on every single carry. And you also don't play Poppy. So there's really like that just felt like the drafting was off. It felt like the play was off, the positioning was awful. And because of that, you just have 600 dogs win.
yeah, look, I don't have a problem with the Poppy pick. I think the Poppy works, and it worked in those situations. It just wasn't executed very well. Specifically, I think at the end of game one. What I do take kind of, and I don't know why. Like I was talking to Gelati about this earlier today. Like I don't know why I'm offended by people having takes that I view as like really bad takes or wrong takes, and like why should that bother me? I don't know. I don't know why it does. But there were a lot of people saying that Doggo played poorly, and he did. Like he played poorly,
He
but he
did,
has
yeah.
not played poorly all year. Like he has not been bad. Like the fact that he had Uzi back there, this was a perfect opportunity because he did have a bad game to put him in. That made a lot of sense. But Doggo's been great. He's been one of the better ADCs in the LPL. I don't know what people are talking about. And quite frankly, I thought the worst player in that series was not Doggo, but it was Weiwei. I thought Weiwei
Yeah,
played like
it was
absolute
way way.
garbage.
It
So
was way way was bad. I think Bree played bad too. Like he had his moments, but I think that they could have easily pulled out, game one if he had actually played the game. So
so
it just
yeah.
felt like every player on BLG just had their moments to be bad, and it felt to me like they just tilted. And when a team tilts like that, and the lower and the team that's ranked worse and performs usually less starts to perform like Yukai and Akali, you really have this sort of, I guess, you forget about the odds. Like the odds are gone at that point, right? You forget about the skills. It's just one team versus the other, straight up, bare knuckle boxing match, and so that's kind of what we had.
Yeah, it's not just that too, but I think that there's a lot of instant reactions and tilting that goes over. Like, look, it doesn't mean that BLG wasn't a good play. It just IG was a fantastic play. But you hit like not even just a ceiling level performance, not even the outlier, but like you hit the outlier there, and like,
Yeah.
hey, sometimes that's what you need and that's what you're going for. So totally understand that. We kind of discussed that at great length in the Discord today, much more length and depth than I care to do here. So let's get right into this slate, which I think is actually pretty exciting. We don't have some monster GPPs. They're still having a little bit of trouble filling, at least when it comes to the higher stakes. But that's because you take a 3-entry, 100-person tournament and turn it into a 2-entry tournament, and it's not going to get any easier to fill, especially when you cut the prize pool and it's only 5K up top. But nevertheless, we're going to still play it. And let's take a look at what we have to start here. First and foremost, let me bring that on the screen. Boom, there it is. We've got the LCK kicking us off. We've got KT Rolster playing T1. T1 is a mega favorite here. KT's plus 305. KT's played well at times. T1 has dropped a couple questionable games, but outside of that, they've looked the best, at least in the LCK. Do you have, on certain slates, I probably would be looking at T1, and I still might look at T1 here because I do think that they're going to go drastically under-owned, but it's not a primary target for me. This does not project like some of the other games on this slate.
Yeah, no, definitely not where my mind went first in terms of building lineups. But, at some point T1 does have to lose, right? And so this feels like the spot because KT are like the thorn in people's side when they play. And, Rascal with the right champion and the right fantasy points can really change a line. So I think if now's as good of a shot as any to look at what T1 has to do against KT. I think they've already played before, right? So I think we kind of do have some historical value, but I think at that point KT was just figuring their lineup out prior, and they haven't played yet.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well then they haven't done their full round of games yet. Yeah, so I mean, I it is interesting to me. Both sides of this game are interesting to me because I feel like KT can win, or I feel like T1 will has a high chance of giving up a game because for some reason they just really like to not cleanly end things. I don't know why they're just not 2-0ing people that are worse than them, but oftentimes it comes down to drafts or single player performance. But in this case, KT does have kind of what it would take to beat T1. I just don't know if they'll do it.
Yeah, look, here's the thing. So, what you just said and what Vince just put up here on the screen is that a KT small stack, and I think that that's a great idea. I don't foresee a land in which an optimal 4-stack of KT exists, but a small stack from the LCK is something that we've learned throughout this split is something that can be very optimal. And I think that T1, if they are able to sweep, will be viable, especially in a small stack. The question is whether they drop a game, because it just feels like when they drop a game, they don't score a lot of points in that game. They are that kind of prototypical, projected, really bad in a loss type of team. And they're never going to make it up in the wins. Like, like when we see some of these LPL teams, like, you have a bad loss, but then if you go and like, I don't know, like LGD or WE or like some of these teams recently, and you go get 23 kills in, your next win and then 19 in your next, you've kind of made up for it, right? I don't see that with T1. I think that they're like an 18 to 20 kill team maximum. So if you're not getting that 20 kill bone or 20 point bonus for the sweep, you're probably getting like 5, 6, and 7s out of them, which is not going to make them optimal. And when we take a look at, their history, 5, 8, 9, it's just not there. You don't see much over 21. I think this is a game that we can consider for a small stack. I don't want anything on the bets. You ready to move on?
Yep.
Let's just stay right here in the LCK. We've got Gen G, who still, I'm not sure who their top laner is going to be. I don't know if it necessarily matters. this game probably means less to me than any of the others. One of the things that John used to talk about when he did the videos was that sometimes he would just cross the team off, like not even just cross the team, but cross a game off entirely. And I think this is one of those games that I'm probably crossing off entirely. Gen G is super expensive. They're a huge favorite. It seems like they're trying to get through this whole COVID situation as quickly as possible. They're not going to mess around. And the Sandbox team is not one that, even if they win, scores a ton. And when they lose, they just get rolled and they don't put up a fight. And I'm just not interested in this game whatsoever.
So I like that take, but I am interested in the game. And I think primarily I'm interested in seeing what happens with obviously Chovy and Peanut and in a small stack, but primarily it's also really interesting to me what is going to result with the fact that Gen is the most expensive team on the slate, because we're 100% not going to see them anywhere. So I'm really curious to see what that's going to do for the lineups. We have one of these weird days where the top LCK teams are once again, the highest priced, give or take some spots like T1's top. But I think it's actually more interesting to me because they're priced so high. Because, as we saw their last performance against Sandbox, Chovy did put up 100 points, and in this day and age, 100 points is 100 points. And it was a bit of a fiesta. That was when they did have the COVID issues. They still have COVID issues, but Peanut's back now, so I don't really see them kind of performing. I also am really disappointed in Ruler. I just don't feel like he got off to this massive start, and then he hasn't really done much at all. Even in their past match with Sandbox, he's done, an 83 points, and that's just not enough to really get you anywhere. I mean, you could play him in GPPs if you like, hoping he does better. I guarantee you he goes underowned, but it doesn't really feel like a cash spot to me because of how expensive they are. And I feel like they will go heavily underowned because, like you said, they're just coming in to do their business and leave. So I would look Peanut Chovy's way and forget about the rest of the team, I guess.
Yeah, look, I get it. You're saying that they're going to be super low owned, and then you could take a stab at them. Like they do feel safe that
Yeah.
they're going to win. I just don't think that they have the ceiling, or they don't hit the ceiling often enough. I think the next couple games that we're going to talk about in the LPL are
Much
just
more interesting.
absolutely nutted. So, yeah, I mean, I'm crossing it out. I get the play. You're right. They're expensive. They're not exciting. And as a result, they're going to go underowned. But I think the same can be said about T1. I think the same can be said about KT. And I think both of those possess ceilings that I'm just a little bit more interested in if I'm getting, LCK in my lineup. I didn't know what I was going to say there, so that's why that kind of sounded weird. I started into it, and I
It's
just
all right. You did what you did,
I
but
had no idea where I was going to go.
the Gen here -1.5 and -155, is that not just free? Like
I don't know. I thought a lot of things were free yesterday, and I woke up and I was down 7 units. So, there's that. Like, okay, like I bet all of -1.5. So I round robin them. I took damn one 2.5 units to win the one. Thankfully, I've scratched a little bit of it back through the LFL, through some NA Academy games, and if CLG can close out this series and sweep this best of 2 with Immortals, I'll pick up another unit and I'll almost be even for the day. Look, let's talk about the games that I think are the biggest ones that are on people's minds, the ones that I've seen the chatter about. We've got Ultra Prime. We've got Weibo. Weibo looks like one of the best teams in the league. 6-1, absolutely destroyed EDG. Like I said, Ultra Prime, super feeders, big time griefers, always have been, always will be. But then you got Elk, man. So like, there's always this win condition. There's this belief that Weibo is a team that's going to, I don't know, like play down to their competition. But I think it's a different team. What's your take here? I mean, they're huge favorites. And I think people are going to play them quite a bit.
I'm playing them quite a bit, obviously. What's more impressive to me about this slate and the way this has been going is the fact that the Shy has actually become a playable person. And this is another great spot for him where you can play the Shy, and you get a pretty good price for the Shy, and it's it's going to be interesting to see what kind of weeboo we get, whether we get, Angel drops 100 weeboo, or we get cleanup and business as usual weeboo. But you definitely can't ignore this game. There has to be some involvement, and basically, I think it goes two ways. I think we either see them just doing what they did, with the players dropping good numbers, or they just come in, they clean house as usual, and they go home.
Yeah, look, I think Weibo is going to be the number one owned team on the slate. I think it's pretty justified given the other matchups and what's happening. So we'll touch on that here in a second when we take a look at some of the other peripherals with it. LGD Rare Atom looked good to start the season. They got an early win over Top Esports. They took games in their next two series and were on their way to beating Victory 5 before the wheels just absolutely fell off. And they've never been put back on. They've looked absolutely terrible, but they are getting one of the easier teams to play in LGD. This game projects to be a fiesta to me, one way or the other. Do you have a lean on Rare Atom or LGD?
Oh, I hate this game. I'm rooting for LGD because I think that this is just a really nice get right spot for them. But you also have to question, like, what is happening on RA that they just can't get anything together, and is this their get right spot? But I thought their get right spot would be IG, and then that didn't turn out, and then they play again, and then just, I mean, I, like, iBoy gets paid money to play this game. So you really have to ask yourself, like, what's going to happen here if Rare Atom have lost 5 of their last 5, and they just have looked really bad overall in terms of every single angle. I really don't see them being owned, and I really don't see them being favored in this spot. I think this is probably more like a coin flip, and if it does set up to be kind of a fiesta, then by all means. But I really don't have a particular favorite in this. I just feel like both teams are bad, and because they're bad, we're going to see mistakes, and because we're going to see mistakes, something's going to happen in terms of kills. That's great for me. But at the same time, if I like, gun to my head, I'm rooting for LGD. I just want to see them win. But
Sure.
oh well.
All right, so we'll come back to that one. And I think that this game, this EDG FPX game, is a little bit spicier than what people want to. I think that this game is just I don't know, man. Like I love it, honestly. I think EDG is going to go lower owned because people are going to go to Weibo, right? Like this EDG FPX game feels a lot closer than maybe. I mean, look, they're minus 350 favorite. I'm not trying to discredit that. But when you look at these 3 games, which one of these 3 games, like, you can't play the 2 favorites. Which favorite would you rather play? Do you think Weibo is a class above Ultra Prime? I think there's several classes above Ultra Prime. I think EDG might be a better team than FPX, but like they're a lot closer than the other 2. And as a result, I think people are going to go to that safety. They're going to go to the team that's the hot new thing, the team that just beat EDG and Weibo. And I think EDG, I feel like they're sneaky. Somebody tell me in the chat if I'm wrong. But like I think EDG is going to go under owned on the slate, 5 games, playing FPX. And I'm going to show you something, Moose. I'm going to break out the sheet. Let's do it. Not even to give you a chance to respond. We did this the other day. It worked out beautifully. I'm prepared, okay? So let's go up to well, first of all, let's take a look at EDG. EDG averaging 18 kills in a win. They do have a 29er, but they have an 11. It balances out. That's a lot of kills, right? 18 kills is a lot of kills. You'd agree that's a lot of kills. 18 kills in this meta is 18 kills. And that's even like, it's like in today's economy, it's like 25, right? Like that's what we discussed yesterday.
A lot of kills.
Look at what FPX has been giving up. So look, FPX started off, they were this hot thing. I had really low expectations in FPX coming into this season. they did really well at Demacia. I was like, oh, okay. Hey, they beat Top Esports. Top Esports was looking really good. Maybe FPX is pretty good. Or they didn't. I don't think they beat them. They lost 3-2. Whatever. They swept a couple other teams. They look good, man. They come in. They beat RNG. Like, oh, shit. Okay. Then they beat LGD. And it's not just that they beat LGD. They just absolutely ran up the score for no reason other than to destroy my DFS night that night with that 30 spot. Then they had this like low scoring game with Anybody's Legend, which was just a weird slap in the face to everybody that came off of that other one. And then this is where the wheels kind of fell off. But look at the competition that they were playing. They take a step up from those teams that we just saw. Not RNG, first game jitters, whatever. JDG waxes them. Play LNG. Take a game, but super bloody when they lost. Weibo, they brought the best out of Weibo. Up, even when they lost to Up at 24 kills. This is a 20 death per loss team in FPX. Did you know that? Did you feel that? I didn't feel it. I didn't even know until I updated the numbers today.
Yeah, I didn't feel that because FPX are too dumb of a team to find their identity. They are too separate players. They are too separate of players to be able to really figure out what they do. Because if you remember, in our previous analysis of FPX after the 30 bomb, we sat there saying, "Okay, is FPX good?" And then we asked ourselves, "Okay, do FPX score and wins?" And now they do. They have started scoring and wins because we didn't know if they were going to score and wins. But for them to score and wins, they have to win. And this is not a spot where I think they win. I just don't see a lane where they're better. And yeah, primarily it's the fact that they bring in Clid, and the kills just start racking up as soon as this guy comes in. This team is still finding their identity. The FPX are a mid-range team that are gonna beat the worst teams, and they're gonna get beat by the better teams. They're literally a freak of freaks. So if you just bully them, I could easily see them performing well. And I agree with you that I think this is an awesome spot for EDG. I don't think minus 350 is enough for the world's best team playing against this FPX.
Yeah, I'm playing with it. I think you can play EDG with Weibo. I'm not playing with it in the optimizer because why would they have Weibo in the optimizer, right? Like,
yes. So as EJ Carney said in the chat, yeah, you can just fit WBG with EDG, however which way you want it today, which kind of breaks it.
No. I mean, you can, but you have to go jungle captain unless you're going to one off a team slot. But you have quite a bit to do that.
No, not at all. No.
You can't go Viper captain with a.
No, not Viper captain. You're playing Hwafang captain, but you're still fitting the same amount of EDG players and WBG players.
Let's take a look.
Now, if you can find me a way to fit 4 EDG in this, which I'll tell you in a second, then I'll get really interested.
Yeah. Okay. So if you go that way, yeah. I mean that is. Oh, that makes. So I guess that I hadn't played with that, so that probably does make them a little bit higher owned than what I had thought. But I mean, looking at this, I think that FPX is going to give up a lot. I think FPX is completely playable in their own right too. Don't get me wrong, EDG's like that era of invincibility has been stripped away from them with that loss, and we saw what happens to teams when that is taken away from them. So, Rogue is a perfect example last week. It just felt like they were going to lose that game to Misfits. For me, I didn't play them. A lot of people did. I guess people didn't believe that. But yeah, I think you can play both sides of this. I love EDG. I think I actually, man, I don't want to say I like EDG better than Weibo because, this other team over here and Up is a feeding team too. But I think that EDG, finding a way to get 4 EDG might be a better way to go than getting 4 Weibo. I mean, that might be a spot that I'm willing to take
Well, let me put it this way. If DraftKings knew what we know and valued EDG correctly, they should be the highest priced team on the slate. And they're not. So we're getting in them as the third highest priced team on the slate for the price of we're getting them as the third best price, but they're probably they're the best team on the slate. So I don't care about T1. I don't care about Gen. I know for sure that EDG are the best team on the slate, and we're getting them at a bargain price because they're coming off a loss. That's
You need to be careful with stuff that you're sure about. We've been sure about like 10 different things, and none of them were actually correct. So I don't know that EDG is the best team on the slate. I think Weibo can kind of take a claim to that, quite frankly.
Scoring wise, we'll see. But when I've been playing the EDG the past couple of nights, every time I get a chance to play EDG, I tell myself the same thing. They score high in wins. They're an easy pick. As long as they win, they score. And that's pretty much been the case. They're going to win. They're going to score. If they don't win, they don't score. So you really just need them to win and take a dub. I
mean,
really don't see that FPX challenging them. I mean, but in this case, I'm sure that everybody's taking notes right now, and we'll see some FPX stacks in the top tournament again because people will play probably the most under-owned team today.
So look, what it comes down to, let me go ahead, kind of break this down for you too, because I think this is where people are missing. We think that Weibo is this high scoring team. We think that Weibo is a team that we want to play. And maybe that's the case because they're highly owned. But take a look at where Weibo scored very well. It was against this same FPX feeding team that people don't conceive or perceive as a team that feeds. That is where they scored all these points. Outside of that, they had that extremely depressing 8 and 6 kill win against anybody's legend who everybody else is running the score up on. And, that other 22 kill game that they had, that was against Victory 5. And we've seen Victory 5 is just they're that team. They're like the good version of Up. So look, don't get me wrong, they're playing Up, and that has a lot to do with why we're looking at playing Weibo. But for more on that, let's go ahead and add somebody else to the chat here. This might be a little bit longer than I had anticipated. Me and Moose had like a pregame. We talked about a couple of things, and we were trying to cut this a little short. Not short, but just not extended. Some people had complained. It's okay. I get it. We'll do a TLDR at the end. But that is to say, we're bringing on Need the Stones, Mr. Big Kev. Now, Kev, here's the thing I will tell you. Nathan's not going to be on here to give you the winners. So I don't know if you're just trying to break the...
I got Baby Goat. I don't need Nathan.
Okay, all right. Well, so here's one I want to go to because we talked about it, but we didn't really go in depth on it. It's that LGD RA. Like Vince said here, look, LGD's never good. They're not. I mean, look, they're just not a good team.
They're so bad.
They are just really bad, and RA has hit rock bottom. So for me, when I look at RA, I look at a team that we thought was going to be good. We thought was going to be bad. Surprised us they were good or decent, I guess.
Right back into what we thought.
Well, and, yeah, but then it's like it took a while, and it's like, okay, well, maybe they're really not good, and I'm okay with that. Like that's where I think it is. I don't think that they're good, but they are playing LGD, and LGD. The thing about LGD for me, when a team is playing them, it doesn't matter. Like LGD can be in the lead, and like that series against Wii where they just completely threw the game and just fed the Jinx and let the Jinx get to like it was not a losable game, and they almost lost it. So I think I think this could bring out the best in RA. This could be the best day that iBoy had. In fact, my initial projections had Cube at 94 points, and I did have to go back and change that. I've got him down into like high 80s at this point, but I don't like the math was there. Like everything checked out. I just had to manually change it, a little bit of bias. Noted RA hater, but obviously an LGD hater. Kev, what are you thinking on this game here?
Yeah, this is my second favorite game other than the EDG one, which I think you guys talked about, but I don't know. I keep seeing people talk up LGD. Are they going to be like anyone's legend was? I think they're going to be like AL was against RA and be like 25, 30%. And I just think that they're going to end up being so fucking chalk. And I like RA.
Look, and this is disgusting to say. I like RA too. And I think it's because I don't think I should like RA. Like everything tells me that like outside of who they're playing, I shouldn't like them. And like, look, we find these little places to try and justify the weird feelings that we have and make ourselves feel good. So, in the morning, if we're wrong, I can point to this and say, hey, this is what I was thinking. And I'm not just like upset. Like, Baby Goat gets upset. Like, he goes to the bar, like, he's like, man, I should have done this. I don't worry about that because, like, I feel like the process is there. And the process for me is these couple things that I pointed out. You're playing LGD, who's just absolutely terrible.
Yeah,
It's
it doesn't matter. LGD games, they're 25 kill win. How do you get away from that? It's
a transitive property thing. Like, equally bad teams are going to put up huge scores. Equally good teams can do that too, but they can also kind of just shut down. I don't think this is a shutdown game. Like, there's not one player on LGD that knows how to shut down. Maybe this Jay guy does, but I don't think
Jay
so.
Jay is bad. We've seen Jay before. Jay's not good.
I know. I've seen Jay. You can't miss him. Big dude.
King Tian's brother.
So, like, everything that I just put out there for you, Moose, because you touched on it earlier. You felt like, I don't know if you felt like LGU was going to win, but I think I can quote you as to saying you're rooting for LGD.
I'm rooting for LGD.
Yeah. Are you a Shadow fan? Are you like longing for the glory days of Peanut and Kramer? Like, what's going on?
They win, they score high. It's that simple.
Yeah, when they lose, the other team scores high too. They brought the best out of WE. They gave up about 25. Like what is this? 50 kills.
The funniest part is that their 80 carries scored like 117 points, and their first game was a 9-kill win.
Yeah, I mean, I went so far as saying this series is not delivering, and then like I left, and I think I dropped my wife off to work, and I came back, and I was like,
yeah, I woke up for that series, and the first thing I saw was LGD fucked up a dive on the Jigs, and then the Jigs just 3-shot every single player.
Yeah.
And then they got 5-0 the next fight. And I was like, all right, on to game 3.
Yeah, well, that was I don't know, man. That was it was an insane series. No, so they were insanely ahead is what it was in the game 2, and there's nothing that they could do. Like, there's no way they could lose unless they got completely wiped. They got wiped. The Jinx got like all the kills and then got like 2 items off of that fight. And then all of a sudden she was just insanely fed, and their comp couldn't get into the WE comp, but they did eventually win.
Yeah.
And then they just got shellacked the next game again because they're just a bad team. They're one of those teams that likes to hang out around like the mid-tier 2, and like they don't know how to get into the base. They have no idea. And then once they get in there, it's happened so infrequently that they don't know how to win. Like Vince likes to say a lot of times, these are too bad, or this is a bad team in LGD that doesn't know how to win and is playing bad and is bad. The difference is RA is playing bad, but I think they know how to win. They know how to play. They can be a good team. They haven't been. So that's why I'm back in RA.
Something about that V5 series just completely broke them.
It is a matter of like,
holy shit, they've looked like the worst team in the league since then. They should have gotten 2-0'd by AL, and that was a disgusting series too.
Frankly,
they got just demolished by IG. Ugh.
I would feel better if I knew Baby Goat wasn't playing them. Like, if he was like just done with them, I feel like I'd be 100%. Yeah, that's the only thing that's the only thing that worries me. I want to take a look at something because I guess like who's the best player on RA?
Drive. I want to say Leanne, but he hasn't even been that good this year.
Nobody. They're all bad.
None of the above. I will tell you, it's definitely not iBoy.
No,
in this case, though, I think LGD can make him look like a I don't know, like he's EDG or something like that. Literally, like LGD can make any team look good. So
I mean, like I'm just trying to look at like Leanne's career stats because I think you've seen some of these junglers just end up on, I don't know, maybe guys that they're just not as good at, or like especially if he needs to carry. I was really looking to see like what kind of history he had on Heckram, and he's 3-1. It's not a lot when you consider he's got like 500 pro games, or 300 pro.
He gets counterpick every game, so he just picks a bunch of wonky shit, and like I feel like he feels like he needs to just like completely 1v9 with some counterpick, and he's just not good enough to do it. I don't know. He had that one pop off year last year. The year before he was splitting with Ikes or whatever. I don't know. I think Fofo kind of made him last year, and he's just not as good as everyone thought he was because he only had that 1 year.
I mean, he graded out pretty well with Forge too. Like, when he was swapping with Aches. Yes.
When did they have Forge?
It was like 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
When he was swapping with Aches.
Okay.
When he was still trying to be a good player.
When it was Vici. It was
Vici.
Vici.
What do you mean? You're talking about playoff Forge, playoff push AL Forge right there.
Yeah, but look,
make a push for it.
So here's my thought: is that when it comes to the jungle meta and the way that it's kind of transitioning right now, they are moving back towards certain champions, not always, but that are a little more clear. Like we've seen a lot more Hecarim. And I think if he can get onto Hecarim, he can much easily like carry a game and be a bigger impact than he can be on like a Jarvan. You can get your lanes ahead as a Jarvan. You can be involved, but you're going to fall off late, and you're going to have to rely on Stride. You're going to have to rely on iBoy. You're going to have to rely on him anyway. But at least with Hecarim, you're really fast and you can do a lot of cool stuff. So
you're really fast is the reason why we're spending money on these players. But it's true. I mean, that game will probably be a complete fiesta, and it's definitely going to be. You definitely have to include them in your lineups.
The only problem with that game is like RA doesn't like the fiesta. Like they lost 16-0 against AL in a game which they were down like max 3K, like 3K, 4K, 5K before Baron, and they just weren't willing to like flip anything. They were just like, all right, we're just gonna wait until we can half-ass fight you at Baron, you get Baron, and then we just lose. It's like AO could have had like 25 kills that game, but RA just never fought them.
Yeah, look, what it comes down to for me though is the other aspect of this slate that I'm thinking about is I feel like this is going to be like a wild fiesta, high scoring slate. That's how I have it projected. That's how these teams grade out. Yeah. What if it's not? Like it very like I can see a world where like RA beats LGD like 16-4 twice, right? Nothing crazy.
That'd be profitable for me.
But like I think then like Up can take a game off Evo. It's a low scoring game. The EDG FPX is a 2-1 series, and that's a low scoring. Gen.G beats Sandbox with 29 total kills. And in that world, T1 could be the highest scoring team.
Don't say it, man. Come on. Don't even put it out there. Literally the first thing I did that I saw this slate was just completely X the LCK games.
I think that's a mistake, man.
Not even
thinking
a huge mistake. Playing it. Not even thinking about playing anything other than the team slots. There's just
no. I think you're wrong. KT and T1 are both very playable on this slate. Obviously, not the most present in a lot of like sims and outcomes and optimizations, but I think you are correct in getting rid of the Gen.G Sandbox. That one just does not resonate with me. Moose likes it. I don't know why. I mean, I know why, but
I just think
he loves Gen.G. You love Gen.G every slate.
Yep, that's because you're talking about ceiling and GPPs, and you have a
They
ceiling player.
don't have a ceiling. The team doesn't have a ceiling.
It's the same shit I say about the same shit I was saying about Damwon today. Like, I just don't ever play them ever. They don't have a ceiling.
Damwon's a lot worse than Gen.G.
They don't have a floor either.
Oh, they have a floor. It's the ceiling.
They don't have a floor or ceiling anymore.
They're permanently 40 to set. They're permanently 40 to 65 points.
All right,
unless they're playing against Gen.G.
So let's do this. So we can cover the LEC pretty quickly too. We're about the 40-minute mark here, so let's go ahead and just do a quick rundown, a recap of kind of your feelings on this particular slate, any convictions, fades, stuff like that. Kevin, you can go first. You're fading the LCK. And where are you going from there?
EDG.
Love EDG. Okay. Moose, what about you? What's your conviction? Fade? Whatever.
Weibo's going to win, but whether or not they score points or not is going to break the slate. So if they don't score points, then we're right and we're sharp. If they do score points, then we eat the chalk. So
I can't wait to see Weibo.
Well, look, you can't. What do you mean? What do you mean? You eat the chalk, or like what? I don't
The
understand what you're
chalk is
saying.
playing Weibo, right?
Like, bro, you've
Right.
got to make the decision before we find out if they score points. We can't like just like
No, I mean,
you're not gonna know before you
I mean,
make
I'm
your
playing.
roster.
I mean, in cash you play Weibo, but in the tournaments,
Sure.
yeah, if you want to be sharp, you go away from them. And then if what I meant is like we will literally be eating chalk if they do outscore everybody, because everybody's going to be playing them. So
If I wake up tomorrow and see that Weibo has fucking 115 points across 4 positions, I'm just gonna cry.
that's
My best dream is I wake up and they win 13-2 and then lose the next 2 games 15-5. That's my best case scenario.
So look, I don't have much different from that. I think EDG is a sneaky good play. The fact that you can fit them in with Weibo does kind of suck, in my opinion. One of the things I'll say about Weibo, and I can't put them here in these projections because again, they're just not here. I think playing Angel as your captain, and again, he's not here, is a way to get a little bit different.
just a little bit. But Angel's been doing well last 2 games, so people look at that.
Doesn't matter.
Oh, he outscored.
Doesn't matter.
People will
Doesn't
still
matter.
play Huan Feng over him.
People are going to play the ADC. In fact, big conversation. Just throw an Angel captain in there. Throw the Shy. Throw a little SFM. Turn it on, and then you got like a duo with that one.
I have that lineup, and it was disgusting to make.
Sure.
Selecting on in a same build, I have the Shy. Oh my lord!
Not only that, SFM just doesn't want to score points. Like he's like one of those players where he will get you a solid 70, and that's it. Like I don't really.
I mean, he's been balling out.
Hey,
recently.
He got 96 the slate that I needed the Shy, and the Shy scored 40 points in 3 games.
Yeah, look, what it comes down to is, I mean, you're going to be screwed one way or the other, so you might as well just play 4 of them and hope that you get the right ones, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at. This is TLDR. We're at the 42-minute mark. Throw that in there. So there we go. But I also think RA LGD needs to be split. KT T1, small stack. I think you can play either one of them. I'm less enthusiastic about it.
Play the LCK games tonight, everyone.
I mean, I will.
Look,
Force back T1 for the win.
Every time we can do one of these shows and T1's on, like the other 2 people try and talk me out of it, and it's worked before, and then they end up being optimal. So not going to let that happen again. Going to have some exposure. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the LEC. The LEC is the absolute bane of my existence. I love watching the league. However, it is just week in and week out one of the most boring ones to try and predict for DFS purposes, because quite frankly, it is pretty predictable, or it has been. This week is no different. I think pricing is going to dictate it. I haven't looked at it. First game.
Pricing is a joke on this slate. I looked earlier.
Okay, so can we do?
Go in and do Vitality Rogue.
Do that. All right. Well, let's take a look. I mean, yeah, you can do just about anything you want, but all right. So Misfits Excel. This is the first game of the day, and quite frankly, it is the one that I think I have the most interest in. Does anybody feel the same way?
No.
Yes.
I don't like either of these teams.
I love this game.
The game's the closest game on the slate. I just don't like the teams.
So look, when it comes down to it, we can see them. They're right here. They're on the screen. Misfits have turned into this like high scoring team in wins and in losses. They've got this this groove about them, this swagger. Neon has been the best ADC over the last week and a half, 2 weeks. And then you've got Excel that, we dogged on them because of the way that they did what they did with Advian. But nobody thought it was a bad idea to bring in Mickey Hex, just the way that they did it. And since that's happened, it did take a little time to adjust, but Excel's been a a pretty accelerated team. 24 kills, 18 kills, 17 kills in the last 3 games that they played against Fnatic, Vitality, and BDS. Like these are teams that are good, but they gave up kills. So like I think this game has a ton of potential in GPPs, and it's the first game of an LEC slate, which always gets an added bump for kills. Yeah, good. Yeah. Moose loves Chovy. He does.
Moose, you're a big Chovy guy.
I like Chovy.
Look, I think though the one thing that you can look at with Misfits, like if you are going to play them, and I think that they'll be at least a little bit popular, is making a decision. Do you want to go towards Neon and continue with Neon and think that that's the way that this team is going to play, or go back to what's tried and true and what has worked with this team and what probably is their identity in Vetheo? And I think that that's the way that you get a little different, is going with a mid captain here, making sure that Neon is still part of those stacks, because those 2 carries absolutely need to be in there. And on the XL side of things, like you have to play Patrick. It's very easy to get away from Nuke Duck, and actually Finn, despite slowing down, his underlying statistics are pretty good in terms of kill participation and kill share in context to other top laners all across the world. Okay, well, you guys have. I guess I covered it.
I like that one.
I don't think so. I don't think so. LGD will be under 10. No way, man.
There is no. I will take action on that. I will absolutely. If you want action on that, I will bet you that they will.
People are talking about it way too much. Like if I knew that, like if there's a team on this slate that has that type of kill probability, I mean, like I think Up will be under 10% owned, but I don't think that LGD will.
Yeah, I would be completely shocked.
No. We don't think LGD is going to be like chalk, but I don't think that they're going to be that low.
I think they're going to be 20%.
Yeah, I think that you're probably closer there. But I guess that he makes a point. Just like
the pricing is super soft, but
so in the 333, I guess going back to this, since you guys don't have a lot to bring in on the LEC, sorry LEC fans. I mean, we can talk about the other games. We'll get to Matt
later. LEC, it's the big boy league time.
So, do you think that, like in the 333, for example, you're looking at 30 to 40% ownership for both Weibo and EDG?
I mean, you have, yeah, they have to, yeah.
I think Weibo for sure is
Weibo
like 40.
Is so owned, yeah.
Moose, what do you think?
Weibo 20, 30s, and then EDG right behind them probably. Just way too cheap.
Yeah.
I agree with the I don't know what the numbers are going to be, but 1-2 is probably going to be Weibo than EDG.
It's Weibo EDG for sure. And then it'll be like a mix of like RA, LGD, and
I think it's going to be LGD after that. I think it's going to be LGD is going to be the 3rd highest owned. Or at least maybe in the position, like maybe Eric. Eric is the 3rd highest owned AD carry.
Eric.
That's his name, right?
Just Eric.
Yeah, you got Eric, you got Jay. I mean, you have Garvey. Like he's not playing, obviously, but like you just got all these.
Can't wait for them to sub in Garvey and Yeg game 2.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go back to this LEC thing, and we can touch on this, and we can go back and forth. Next game, not really that exciting to me. SK, they've played better, but SK, they're playing G2. G2 has looked like the, 2nd or 3rd best team at times, best team in the league. I don't think that there's much to say about this. Like I like G2. I like playing them all the time. I think Targamas is probably the best support in the league right now.
I agree.
Yeah.
That guy is crazy.
It just doesn't feel like there's much to this other than just G2 winning, right? I mean,
yeah, look, Prime. It's Misfits or it's Excel. It's always Misfits or Excel.
Talked about it. Biased. Emrick's biased projections. He added in first game of the slate narrative. So.
Yeah, everybody gets 1 extra kill and 2 extra assists. That's how it works. Margin of error is higher there, so
just biased projections over here from Emrick.
Yeah, and then like I send just a completely different set to Mike B.
The Mike B projections.
I just hit one button and like it optimizes and randoms it.
There's somebody out there right now doing game stacks for tonight. Just like, yeah,
Like, bro, why is
LGDRA.
Yeah, dude. You know who's doing game stacks for that game?
Nathan?
This guy right here is doing it. You can't not do it after you just win the slate. Like it just happens.
I need to figure out who Seabavin's playing. That guy wins every slate.
Yeah, no, Hillsing is not the best. Targamas way better.
I think
Way better.
Targamas is better than Hillsing so far.
Absolutely. I mean, Hillsing's played well, but
Yeah. I mean, Targamas has literally played a different
that's
team
who
in every single game.
That's who the DFS 5-pack channel 2. That is Embelman. I don't know how to say it. Yeah, I mean G2 scored a ton. SK has been giving up a ton, so I think G2 is going to be popular. It's just a matter of how popular they're going to be. When we look at these other games, let's not break it down. Like this is not hard. Like Rogue should win, Fnatic should win, G2 should win, Misfits should win, and like honestly, depends on what Vitality shows up, they should win. Mad Lions have a chance to upset, BDS have a chance to upset, Excel have a chance to upset. Astralis, SK, really no chance, in my opinion. Like less than 5%. It could happen. Anything can happen. It's a best of one. But I'm not operating under that sense. The one thing I'll say is that even if Astralis beats Fnatic, and whether Fnatic beats Astralis, I really don't want any part of that game. Projects super poorly. Like they are identical kills per win and deaths per losses. It's like a 15, 16 kill win either side of it. So I'd much rather go to a team like G2 or even like going to BDS or Vitality because that just seems like a game that could pop off. You look at what BDS has been doing recently, and it's just playing like super careless League of Legends, but doing so in a way that they are, getting advantages and beating other teams before they beat themselves. Vitality has looked absolutely atrocious. Kev, I know you hate every part of Vitality with the exception of perks right now. Is this finally the BDS breakthrough game?
No. BDS is so bad, but they're not like a dumpster fire. So they get early leads, so their champions are strong enough to trade fights like 3 for 2, 4 for 2, or trade like 2 for 0, but all other health bars are like super low, so they can't do a fucking Baron and then just win the game, which is great. So Vitality is my favorite team to play tomorrow. I don't know, but they win kind of fast, so I'm gonna say second favorite behind the Misfits game.
Yeah, like the difference is that what you're looking at is Vitality does not get a ton of kills per se in their wins.
Yeah, they win really fast. Like they had 18 kills against BDS the first time. I think that was like a 25-minute game.
Yeah, but BDS does give up a ton of kills.
Yeah,
and like,
they do.
What you're, I guess, hoping for is if you are playing Vitality, is that BDS does get out to the lead and then they throw it just like they have the last 4 games that they've played. Yeah. I mean, essentially.
As long as Adam doesn't die 2 times before the minions have spawned, it could be a close game.
Look, they still gave up 21 kills in that game. They fought that one valiantly.
Total hero effort there from the BDS boys.
What about Rogue and Mad Lions? Like this game right here feels like Rogue is going to come back with some vengeance. I think Mad Lions have looked neutered recently. Honestly, looking through this, the Mad Lions have not been a team that you probably actually want to go to in DFS, and I don't think that's what people think. I don't think that's what people feel. They should have lost to BDS. They were like uber chalk that day.
There we go again. Not the BDS mad talk again. Emrick, you just have to forget about it, bud. Yeah.
I can. I'm looking at it, and it's like it's the game that pops out for Mad. Whereas, like, you go back to the last time Rogue played Mad, and like, look, do you think that Rogue, albeit a different set of Rogue people, not entirely, like, just want to run up the score on Mad the way like G2 used to run up the score on them?
I don't think so.
Larson seems like a really vindictive guy, like behind the scenes.
Why? Because he's a ginger.
I don't know. They all just seem really low key, really mellow. But like, I think behind the scenes, man, they don't like Aloya. They don't like him, and they just want to give it to him.
They're mad because Aloya fucks and no one on Rogue fucks. So I mean, ask Ian J if he's got anyone on Rogue in his fuck model.
Comp. Yeah,
Comp fucks. Oh, okay. Elio
Comp's like the number one guy. He was like his one-off.
Nah,
his one-off play
Elio
last
is
week.
number one fucker.
No. He said Comp was a one-off play that you could have played out of Rogue last week when he was on the show. So I don't know, man. I love Rogue. I love Rogue in the spot. I think people will be on it, and that's what's concerning. I think if you're playing Rogue, maybe you play him with XL, maybe you play him with Misfits, which you probably can't, or maybe even get a little crazy and play him with like BDS. I know that's not where you want to hear it, but like they're gonna win, man. Like, and I'm just like they are.
I mean, BDS probably has the better top laner, honestly.
What Damwon and RA are to Baby Goat, BDS has become to me. I'm pot committed. I need to be there when they do win. I just barely got off of the XL train, and then they had that big win earlier in the season, and I wasn't there. And as a matter of fact, M. Bellman was there, and he caught that XL wave. That should have been mine.
Josh was on that. He's the reason they won.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
He texts me in the morning. I'll get a text from him tomorrow morning, and it'll say like SK Sharks are going to get paid today against G2, and then the SK will go out and win with 75 kills. just like it happened. He just randomly texts me. XL Sharks getting paid today against Vitality, and then they drop 24 kills, and he's tilting the entire way. He's like, "Oh, these scores are so bad." They're sieging the base. Every single player's one assist or kill away from getting the bonus. They end up with like 55 fucking points.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess what I'll say here is like, to kind of conclude this, and I'll let you guys have some final thoughts on it. But Broken Blade scores the highest. It's G2 Mad, and like White Knight for Astralis. I think he's going to be the only one that pops. FNC, like I said, just not there, and Finn actually not there. It's all pretty close. In the jungle, you got Syncroft, you got Aloya, Malrang, a couple guys that absolutely fuck. But then you've got Gilius, who's just, people were like, why isn't Gilius on the team?
Because he's not good.
He's not good, man. He's better than Kyrie.
He's way better than Kyrie.
I don't even know where Kyrie is these days.
Kyrie is on the bench. He is not playing anywhere. He won't get his vax, so he can't play.
Look, BDS, like Nuclearant, projects really well. Oh, man. Cap's not so much. ADC. Oh, they changed it. Nice.
Holy
good.
Shit. 45
awesome.
For comp. Jesus.
Yeah. Well, look, I have like them projected for like a 20 kill win. Like it's quite a bit. Neon X Matty even projects really well. And look, and what it comes down to for me, and where that projection comes from for BDS is if BDS wins, this is not like a 28-minute win. It's like a 35, 36-minute win. There's a ton of dragons. There's a ton of fights. There's a ton of kills. And somehow through a war of attrition, somehow they overcome all the deficiencies that they have as a team and beat the much more talented team. So like the probability of that happening is not there, but it's just like they just have a really good elder fight or something like that. So
it's like people still don't realize, like with these shitty teams going against good teams, is that it takes them like 4 or 5 more fights to win the game than it should. And that like with Astralis, if you're ever going to play Astralis, play 4 of them. If you ever want to play them, just play 4 because it's going to take them so long to win the game. Like there's no point of even small stacking it. Just like example like that.
Yeah, and it's going to be a long game. And so it not only is it going to be a long game, but there's going to be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 dragons, including barons. There's just going to be a lot of those. And so those are a lot of opportunities to fight. And the difference that you see, especially in the LEC versus like the LCK, like the LCK at a dragon fight, one person dies, like it's like, yo, we got to stop. We got to stop. Let's recall. They got it. They won.
I saw somebody post something today where it was like it took a screenshot of that BLG IG 35-27 game in like 30 minutes. It was like a 32-minute game, and they took a screenshot of the DRX Damwon 9-8 at 46-minute game. It was like, I wonder what the difference is between these two leagues.
Yeah, no, it's Yeah. So, I mean, final thoughts. You can go back to the LPL LCK if you want to move. So I'm gonna let you go. First, do you want to go with like LEC, LPL? Final thoughts. You're free to say what you want. Make your claim. Stake it. You said you're gonna redeem yourself. We're ready.
All right. Let me redeem myself real quick here. Well, LPL wise, I think you guys have been. I think we're pretty on track with today, and just like yesterday, none of it's probably going to be any right, but it's okay because you know Emrick needs guests. So in terms of LEC, I really just I it's I will let you guys know that I did like a full like statistics of like all my cash games, and when it comes to LEC, it is by far the least profitable region when it comes to cash for me, by far. It's so off on percentages because there's just so many surprises, which makes it a much more fun tournament type of play. And yeah, I mean that's kind of what the fun is in Europe. Everybody's scoring high. There's a lot of upsets, a lot of really cool matches. So definitely give it a watch and take from these guys what you like in terms of LEC. But in terms of LPL, if the fact that you can jam Weibo and EDG tonight together just kind of makes the whole slate a little bit unfair to me.
Moose, I think the reason that you do worse in LEC is because you're sleeping and you don't watch it. Because it is not like a league of upset. Like everything that you just said, like it doesn't have the upsets. It's had a couple.
And then the first game is always super high, and then if somebody's got players from the first game, you've got totals, and then the odds just totally fly out the window, and you're stuck.
Well, that's true. That is true. The first game always kind of screws it, but it's always
First game
at least
sets
it was
the pace for the day.
It was always G2 and Fnatic, and it is weird that Fnatic is like just not playable. Like they were against Vitality, and that made sense in like cash. But I mean, you look at this, you go look at Astralis, and it like lines up perfectly. Like everything lines up perfectly. The way that these teams win and lose against each other. So, Kev, any final thoughts?
Not really. I would just like to grats all the Weibo 4 stacks tonight. I would like to grats Seabavin and Dmort. Congratulations on winning the 44 again tonight. Yeah, so good luck to the win. Good luck to you winners.
Absolutely. So hey, if you haven't already, go ahead, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I appreciate it. We're almost to 100 subscribers, which is super cool. The growth in the last couple of weeks has been fantastic. I appreciate the support. You can find all of this projections content, especially even the Weibo players, over in the esports department Discord in the content channel. Catch us tomorrow at 8:30. It's the Hangout stream. I don't know if Moose is going to be here, but I do have a special guest. I know that Kev is going to be here. He's not the special guest. He's special, but not the special guest.
Gugs is not the special guest.
Then it's not Gugs. Gugs is required to wear a shirt tomorrow. So unless the special guest says he doesn't want the shirt, and that may happen. But for all of us, thank you so much for watching. Let's go out there and let's win a couple of these and graze to everyone.
Let's go.